in the shed today. Got some new springs in from Shockworks, so just going to go through the install of those, and while we're changing them, what we're changing, I'll talk over the video a bit and go from there to show you what they are. They're really easy to work on, the Shockworks stuff. Considering that the amount of times I've been in the dirt the last couple of race meetings, the shocks are holding up something wicked, so I'll just go through what I'm doing. And really like working with the Shockworks stuff. They're just a decent quality unit. The spring platforms are really thick, easy to work with. The base height adjustable, which I'll tell you about that in a minute. That just makes life easier when you're doing the corner weighting and setting up ride height. To change the springs, real easy, quick job. Make sure there's no preload on the spring so you don't send it across the workshop. Take the top hat off, take the spring out, put the new spring in. In this case we've gone from 200mm springs to 150 and 180mm springs, so I had to put keepers in there just to keep the load on the spring to get the droop we want. Button it all up. I've gone from a 9 kilo spring in the front to a 12 kilo and a 5 kilo in the rear to a 6 kilo. My personal preference is for the car to be really soft. Some people say that a soft car is easier to drive, it's more compliant, and a faster car is a harder car. Me, I just like it really soft because I like to feel the car jack and move and sit on the outer tyre, and then I know how much grip I've really got. Chris has done some wicked work with me changing the valving in these shocks to get that jacking feel without having to run so soft. So we're putting the stiffer springs in it just to see how we're going. I used to run even softer than that again in the first setup. But you can see in the photos how much the car's rolling. So we're going to do that. Other school of thought is to go as big a spring as you can, really light sway bar. We'll go a little bit stiffer on the sway bars as well once we check. To put it basically, droop is just when you jack the car up, how far the wheel will fall down before it maxes out its travel. So that distance from when the car's at static ride height to when the car's unloaded off the suspension, that's your droop, how much the wheel droops down. Pretty basic, but you can change how much that droop is. You can take droop out, you can put more droop in, and that makes a big difference to how that wheel reacts through its curve, and as well as the rake in the car. So with the base height adjusters that the Shockworks have, you can corner weight the car and preload the car, which is by pushing weight across the diagonals by putting preload into the springs, and then you can set your ride height and get the rake of the whole car right on the base without upsetting that preload. It's really important. Not all the shocks out there offer that. Especially back in the day, it just wasn't a thing, so just makes another good thing on the Shockworks product. Like I said, really easy to do. And then a couple little videos of us mucking around in the shed, corner weighting the car, getting it done. So the big thing for corner weighting is if you've got one corner, say the left rear, that's lighter than the right front, you just basically push weight up and push weight down. All we ended up doing was just trying to get the front of the car even. We had a big difference. I think it was about 35 kilos left to right difference in the front of the car, and this session that's what we just tried to iron out to get the front of the car even. When we go back to it, we'll try to get the diagonals a bit better, but the car's pretty good, and all that information I'll use for building the new car to where I put stuff statically will help with that corner weighting. I hear a goddamn thing because of the motorbikes. This guy's absolutely mental, but corner weighting the car, setting up the droop on the new shocks, well, the same shocks with the new springs, getting the ride height right, just chasing ourselves around in circles. Luckily I've got Bryson from Fastlane here, Chris, everyone knows Chris with the BMW, and Tyler's given us a hand as well. Massive amount of work though. Let's get into it. Luckily the 4-poster makes life so much easier with the jacks front of that, and Chris is cleaning all my mess up from every time I fall off the racetrack. So that's us today. Bit of maintenance. So Bryson, what are we doing?
I was just adding some preload in to change these cross weights.
We're basically trying to push the weight from the
rear to the front.
To the front, right?
Yeah.
And what are you doing, Chris? Chris is my beautiful model because he's 5 kilos lighter than me. That's where I want the car to be at. Alright. So Bryson's just taken all the magic numbers down and writing them down so we know where we're at. So what have we done today? Other than listen to motorbikes yelling at us all day long.
Yeah, we strung it up. We did some campers, changed the toes, front and rear. We corner weighted it, set the droop and ride height and rake.
So we've done everything. Pretty much made it a whole new car.
Yeah, I mean there's always more to do, but...
So in your opinion, out of all the things we just did, what is most important?
I'd probably say the droop and the ride height. That was probably the furthest out from what we wanted. I mean, it's all important, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I really think the cleaning at Chris did was the most important thing we did.
Of course, and sitting in the seat.
Yeah.
And polishing the exhaust mount.
And polishing the exhaust. Now overall, I'm really stoked. So we set droop with the new springs on the shocks. So we've got the droop where we want it, or where Chris from Shockworks has recommended we run this car. Toe wasn't too bad all round. Camber was really out in the rear once we changed things. And then the weight, when we corner weighted it, was quite light, as I already knew, on the left rear. So we've pushed some weight around just to even it up left to right. This car's a bit out of whack, so we're never going to get it real perfect. The new car, yeah, killer. We know where to start from, so yeah. Can't thank Chris from Shockworks enough. Make sure you get over and check out his page. He's just been so helpful. This is the third set of springs, second set of valving that we've put into the car. Just awesome dude. Also massive thanks to Hyperdrive, DC Autos, Steve Merchant, MSC Turbos in New Zealand, Shane at Behind the Sport, Chris at Culture Fitness, all the guys that helped make this car work. Just so stoked. Cheers.